20 million dead people marked as alive. This is a mind-blowing chart.
Yeah, just this literally blew us away. Like, we went there to find fraud.
Massive, large-scale program to import as many illegals as possible. And I'd like to welcome my friend Antonio Gracias to the stage. I think so. Does it work? I can give you mine. Does it work? It'll be okay. I mean, Buzz Aldrin's still alive, and he went past the belts.
It worked. Is this working? Yeah, it's on now, yeah.
There we go. So, Antonio, can you tell us what you... Antonio's helping out with the Social Security. So just trying to review Social Security, where you may have heard that we found 20 million dead people marked as alive in the Social Security database. This is so crazy. And then you'll notice there's a strange trend here, where how many Social Security numbers were issued. Do you want to?
Yeah. So let me tell you what happened here. We started at the top of the system.
You want to talk about a lot of it?
We started at the top of the system, mapping the whole system of Social Security to understand where all the fraud was. And there's a lot of great people there that showed us really a lot of waste. And so that came with a big list of stuff they're working on. You've heard some of that already. But this is what jumped out at us. When we saw these numbers, we were like, what is this? In 21, you see 270,000 people, goes all the way to 2.1 million in 24. These are non-citizens that are getting Social Security numbers.
Yeah, this is a mind-blowing chart.
Yeah, just this literally blew us away. Like, we went there to find fraud, and we found this by accident. And this isn't political, by the way. My parents are immigrants. Yeah, this country's been great to us. My brother and sister all born in Spain. I'm pro-legal immigration. This is not political. This is not political. This is about America and the future of America. And there are a lot of good people in the system that pointed us in this direction. I want to honor them right now. They work in the government today, who took risks to show us these numbers and tell us what's going on. Yeah. So I want to stop for a minute. I want to honor those people today. Very good people. Very good people. I have been from D.C. to Social Security offices to the border to track this down, and very good people have helped us along the way. I want to thank them.
Yeah.
This number, what this is when you come in the country, if you're illegal, there's a couple ways to come in. You come in through a port of entry, and you can tell them you're afraid. They'll give you an asylum case. You get an interview, then you get in.
Now, by the way, like for these asylum cases, if a lot of people don't understand. That in order to declare asylum, in order to have a legal claim, right, you're essentially saying that I'm being persecuted, I'm being threatened, my life is in danger, the life of my children, whatever. There's an imminent threat to you as a person. And then you leave the country and are supposed to claim asylum in the very first country that you arrive at. So if you're coming from a boat, from Cuba or whatever, that's a valid claim. You can make that claim. I left Cuba, I jumped in a boat, I landed in America. I'm seeking asylum. Okay, if you're coming from South America, and you just walked across 10 other countries, right? You can't say I want to claim asylum, therefore. I'm going to go walk through all of these other countries, because that's not seeking asylum. You're seeking America, which everyone wants to do, but there's a way to do it. You can't just say, screw this country and screw the country, the next one I went to, and the next one, the next one, the next one. This is the one I want to go to, and say, hey, I'm being persecuted. Yeah, you were being persecuted, 10 countries away. You weren't being persecuted in the following country. You just didn't like the following country as much as the United States. That doesn't work. Right? That's not a thing that the system isn't designed for that. Continue.
That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to just go to the border. Literally, this happened. I talked to Border Patrol myself. Elon was there too. I went to Laredo, and I went to Bronzeville. Elon went to Eagle Pass. You walk up to a Border Patrol officer, and you tell them you want to come in. They have a couple of choices. They can charge you with a misdemeanor or a felony under 1325, or they can make it an administrative offense, like a parking ticket, basically. They were told to do that, make it an administrative offense under the last administration. And then you go walk across the border. They do what's called a release from your own recognizance, and they give you an NTA, a notice to appear, which to appear to judge. The wait times on judges are like average 6 years. Look at Grok, you'll see it on immigration judges. There's only 700 of them. This is 5.5 million people. Okay? So what happens then? Once you're in the country and you've got asylum through one of these pathways, and we map the whole thing out, you can apply for a work document. You file a 765. It's the work form. You get this form called the 766. That's authorization. And then Social Security Administration automatically sends you in the mail your Social Security number. No interview.
So this is the thing, right? This is how we get around it, and this is how, right? This is what the semantic argument is: are these illegal aliens, right? Are these illegal immigrants? And a lot of people would say no, no. They came here, they walked across the border, or they claimed asylum, or they just showed up at the border, and then the government said to them, "Okay, come back in a few years, and we'll listen to your claim." So if that's what's going on, then you're essentially saying no, it's fine, it's not illegal, right? Because you stopped them and said, "Yeah, we'll figure out if it's illegal down the road." So, I mean, in most people's world, I guess I'm good. And then on top of that, then you give them a Social Security card because you've said that, we don't know yet if what they've done is illegal. It's crazy. It's insane. And then I don't know if you're going to talk about the benefits. Let's see where this ends.
No ID.
This is worth just reiterating. It's not people sometimes think that under the Biden administration that he was simply asleep at the switch. He wasn't asleep.
No.
They weren't asleep at the switch. It was a massive, large-scale program to import as many illegals as possible, ultimately to change the entire voting map of the United States and disenfranchise the American people and make it a permanent, deep blue, one-party state from which there would be no escape.
Look, if I hadn't seen this myself, I'm not sure I believed it. I went through it myself and mapped it. And Elon is right. This is true. The defaults in the system, from Social Security to all of benefit programs, have been set to max inclusion, max pay for these people, and minimum collection. That's what's happening. We found 1.3 million of them already on Medicaid, as an example. We've gone through, on every benefit program we went through, we found groups from this particular group of people, this 5.5 million people, in those benefit programs. And then what was really, really disturbing us was why. We're asking ourselves why. And so we actually just took a sample and looked at voter registration records. And we found people here registered to vote. In this population, yes.
And who did vote?
And we found some by sampling that actually did vote. And we have referred them to prosecution at the Homeland Security Investigation Service.
Yeah.
Already. That's already happening.
I mean, just listen to that, right? That is astounding, right? So not only, right, were these people, right, first they're given Social Security cards, right, which in and of itself, suggests that, all right, so now they can work, they can legally work, right? They can go to an employer, right, which is what a lot of people are saying, is that we're importing the cheap labor. So now they can legally work, right? Then you're talking about benefits and claims, stuff like that. Maybe they're not collecting Social Security because they're not at the age yet. But SSI, so SSI, I'm sure there are people on there collecting SSI, which is supposed to be for disabled, disenfranchised Americans. I'm sure, and other benefits. Voting is a benefit. It's just an insane notion that this, following this story, it's pretty much, it's been getting a little bit of pushback from the left. I think for the most part, they're just ignoring it because it just looks so bad. And ultimately, unfortunately, because things like this are a bit more nuanced, a lot of people are not going to follow it, and a lot of people are not going to listen. It takes more than just a headline. It says, 20 million Social Security benefits are non-citizen. It's one of those things where if it's not sexy and doesn't catch people in a TikTok, they're just going to go by the wayside. But for the people that are listening to this stuff, for the people that pay attention, by the way, if you're paying attention, please like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much. It really helps me out a lot. But for those people, right, for us, for the ones that are in the know, that want to know what the hell's going on and try to figure things out and educate ourselves, and hopefully we can, get other people to see what's going on and to try to think these things through. Like, what's the best way to do this? Why is this happening? These are all questions where these guys, who are probably pretty brilliant, they didn't know what was going on. They found out what's going on, and they're trying to expose it. They're trying to do what all of us need to do, right? All of us need, we owe it to our country, to our families, to our friends, to take this information, digest it, and try to get people to understand what the hell is going on. And, guys, thank you so much for coming out. Yeah, again, like, share, subscribe. Really appreciate you guys. We'll see you again real soon. This was a great video. Later.